WNBA free agency is officially underway, Annie. So when you see these names and the options that the Sky have, what do you think that they're cooking up?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because Angel and Camilla are very interesting pieces. And when you're talking about, you know, getting the right players in here, there is intrigue when you have young core pieces like that, because you could be part of developing them and developing towards a title contending season. But the reality is the Sky are still very far.
Angel Reese sat down for her podcast, full of confidence, boldly stating that she was building a powerhouse in Chicago.
Forward to now, and the reality couldn't be more different. Free agency has been in full swing, but Chicago's roster remains as empty as ever. The top free agents? They've looked at their options and taken a hard pass on the Sky.
You don't get told no. Like, you're going to get the yeses. You're going to get more yeses than nos, and just being able to know that. So I'm excited for that. I know that's going to come.
Yet, despite her ambitions, not a single All-Star has been convinced to join the Sky. While other teams stacked their rosters with elite talent, Chicago has been left scrambling for answers.
C was supposed to be Reese's chance to help build a championship-caliber squad, especially after all the
Reese had big plans, just like she did with Unrivaled. But instead of building a juggernaut, she's facing a harsh reality check. Is this proof that WNBA players simply aren't interested in what she's trying to create in Chicago?
Let's take a closer look at how this free agency disaster unfolded.
The whole city is obsessed with you.
I know. I love it
all
here.
the time.
It feels like Baltimore here. I love it here. It does.
Kind of. A little bit. A little DMV action.
Yeah.
But you know, Chicago's a number 3 market in the country.
Really?
It's New York, LA, and then Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago, y'all have everything. I'm not gonna lie, y'all have everything here. Like, it's nothing here that I've like, oh, I gotta go to a different city for. Like, everything has been here.
Angel Reese confidently declared she was going to build a super team. But now that free agency has arrived, the only thing the Sky have built is uncertainty. Picture Reese scrolling through her phone, sending messages, making calls only to be met with silence and polite rejections.
Like Angel Reese and Camilla Cardoso too have brought relevance to this team that they've desperately needed in a time when, again, if not for them, they'd be completely irrelevant because of the product that they're putting on the floor.
And also make Chicago an attractive spot when you have Angel Reese and Camilla Cardoso right there, two bigs that really shine in their rookie.
With so many elite free agents available, you'd think at least one would consider Chicago, right? Wrong. The silence has been deafening. No major signings, no excitement, no championship-level players on the way. Just Reese, left wondering what went wrong.
So, lads, this is not great news, you know, for the Chicago Sky, who are a team that obviously, look, they're rebuilding. This is a team that is 100% rebuilding. The problem is they don't own their pick. So, if the Chicago Sky run it back, they're probably not making the playoffs next year. Look, I think there's going to be an improvement from Angel Reese. I think it's going to be an improvement from Cardoso. But that team with no Kennedy Carter, it's going to be real tough to get any offense.
Let's talk about who was available. Kelsey Plum, Jewel Lloyd, Brittany Griner, Alyssa Thomas, Dawana Bonner, Natasha Howard, Sato Saboli, and Kelsey Mitchell, players who can transform a franchise overnight. How many gave Chicago serious thought? Not a single one. Maybe there was still a chance, though.
Reese had something planned that nobody saw coming. But now that most of the big names have found new homes, it's undeniable. Chicago was not a destination for top talent. Reese's grand recruiting plan? It wasn't just a failure. It was a complete disaster.
So, not a good day for the Chicago Sky. Not a good day at all, because we have heard news from the journalist who reports on the WNBA, and because she is not a homer like a lot of the other people, like normally journalists are complete homers for one team. One of the actual credible journalists reported on something. Sky fans aren't happy. They all want her fired.
And to make things worse, the Sky's front office didn't do Reese any favors either. Their leading...
But then, Kennedy Carter didn't even get a qualifying offer. The message was clear: Chicago isn't serious about keeping its best players, let alone attracting new ones. And those trade rumors? They went nowhere fast.
Almost like the moment Reese tried to sell them on the super team vision, free agents couldn't run away fast enough.
Kennedy had an incredible season for us last year, says the GM. She's extremely talented and is a player that can impact the game at the highest level in our league. We absolutely appreciate all she did for our team last year. However, we've made changes to our staff and we'll make changes to our roster. Those changes impact Kennedy's fit on the team, so we wanted to give her the best opportunity as a free agent.
So where does this leave Angel Reese, the so-called superstar who was supposed to bring elite talent to Chicago? Well, she might be leading a team of role players and rookies instead. This isn't the powerhouse she imagined. It's a harsh wake-up call.
So, what happened? Why did every top free agent take one look at Chicago and walk away? Let's break it all down.
Is Angel Reese, did she just run a coach out of town, and is she running a player out of town? Their best shooter out of town? Because Kennedy Carter looks like she's ready to book it out of Chicago.
While Angel Reese was hyping up Chicago as the next WNBA powerhouse, the actual top free agents were making moves that left the sky in the dust. Picture this.
Across the league, teams were making big moves, superstars landing in places that offered everything Chicago lacked: stability, strong leadership, and a real shot at winning. Let's take a closer look at where the stars decided to go.
The Seattle Storm are sending Jewel Lloyd to the Las Vegas Aces in a blockbuster three-team trade that moves Kelsey Plum to the LA Sparks. That's according to ESPN. As part of the deal, Seattle receives the second pick in this year's WNBA draft from LA in exchange for the Storm's number 9 pick, while the Aces also receive the 13th pick, a second-round selection from the Sparks.
First up, Kelsey Plum. You remember her, the sharpshooter who helped Las Vegas secure back-to-back titles? She's headed to Los Angeles. Why LA over Chicago? Simple: elite coaching and a front office that actually has a plan.
Franchise that isn't in complete chaos. Sorry, Angel.
But if that stung, what happened with Jewel Lloyd had to be even worse. A Chicago native, Lloyd had a golden opportunity to come home and represent her city.
Playing with Angel Reese was so appealing, this was a no-brainer, right? Wrong.
Instead, she took one look at the Sky's situation and bolted to Las Vegas, where she'll team up with A'ja Wilson. That's right, she chose championship aspirations over whatever mess is unfolding in Chicago.
According to WNBA Insider, that Illinois native Jewel Lloyd will not be going to Chicago Sky. And obviously, they didn't keep Kennedy Carter. And it's looking like one player, obviously, that's been in Chicago across her careers because of her Illinois roots, is Seattle Storm guard Jewel Lloyd.
Then there's Brittany Griner, the dominant center who can dunk with ease. She's heading to Atlanta to join a powerhouse roster. Meanwhile, Alyssa Thomas, the queen of triple-doubles, is now with Phoenix. See the pattern? These players didn't just avoid Chicago, they ran toward teams with clear vision and leadership.
Talk about the 3 big names you gotta know: Alyssa Thomas, Natasha Cloud, Brittany Griner. Let's start with Brittany Griner, joining Alicia Gray and Ryan Howard in Atlanta. Dream team? Brittany Griner was drafted to Phoenix in 2013, so it's kind of about time, and I'm so excited to see what Atlanta turns around this next season, because they really need her. Phoenix is also losing Natasha Cloud and Beck Allen, along with the number 12 pick overall in this year's draft, to Connecticut. Connecticut is giving up the triple-double queen, Alyssa Thomas, and
Speaking of Phoenix, things get even worse for Angel Reese. Not only did Thomas land there, but she'll be teaming up with Satoe Sabally, forming a dangerous duo. Meanwhile, the Indiana Fever quietly built a championship-worthy roster, adding veterans like Natasha Howard, DeWanna Bonner, Sydney Colson, and Sophie Cunningham. They even stole Brianna Turner, Reese's own teammate. And just to rub salt in the wound, they re-signed Kelsey Mitchell. Indiana has transformed into a contender, while Chicago remains stuck.
Indiana Fever are that golden destination, and I can't help but laugh to the fans and the people online and the media commentators, unfortunately, who said that nobody wanted to play in Indiana. That doesn't make any sense.
So what does all of this mean? It means Angel Reese talked a big game, but the real stars weren't listening. Not only did these top free agents reject Chicago, but they actively strengthen the teams that will be standing in the Sky's way.
It's almost like every top free agent saw the warning signs and got out before the drama even started. But let's go deeper.
One more move that might just be the final dagger in Angel Reese's so-called super team dreams. Want to hear more? Angel Reese, once boasting about turning Chicago into a super team, now finds herself staring at empty lockers and unanswered texts. The reality is setting in. Her dream of recruiting top-tier talent is turning into a nightmare. It's starting to feel less like an all-star squad and more like a pickup team at the local YMCA.
Just trying to give myself some grace because I know I'm not the player that I want to be just yet, but also kind of patting myself in the back, telling myself that I'm still doing.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room, or rather, the lack of elite talent in the Sky's practice facility. Did you know that Chicago's current setup is like practicing?
Chicago's facilities are outdated compared to the rest of the WNBA. While teams like the Fever, Liberty, and Aces train in state-of-the-art environments, the Sky are years behind. Their highly anticipated new facility won't be ready until 2026. In a fast-growing league, that's an eternity.
Women should be able to step in and be able to go into a locker room and be able to have a safe space, or go into a gym at 3 o'clock in the morning when they want to do that. So I want to be able to just invest.
And it's not just about facilities, their record speaks volumes. Remember when the Sky were a playoff team? Last season, they collapsed, finishing 13-27, their worst record since 2020. Even with Angel Reese, hype doesn't win games.
So it's just been great being able to see my impact on and off the court, and not just in sports, but just being able to be a cultural impact as well.
It gets even messier. Reports suggest Chicago's locker room is a chaotic, drama-filled mess, and Reese is at the center of it. Instead of making the Sky an attractive destination, she's driving talent away. Gabby Williams, whom Reese personally tried to recruit, said, "Thanks, but no thanks." Even Kennedy Carter, who isn't known for playing nice, made her thoughts on Reese clear before leaving.
According to league sources, Weatherspoon had lost the locker room because of a culture that catered to the needs of a few players. Dear Lord.
While teams like the Fever are building future dynasties, the Sky can't even get players to answer their calls. It's like watching a slow-motion disaster, painful, but impossible to ignore.
Reese and the Chicago Sky. Not in a great place.
And let's not forget the front office. It's a revolving door with no stability or direction. WNBA analyst Annie Costable pointed out that free agents are wary of Chicago's instability. Who would willingly sign up for this?
And I can't help but wonder, is that what happened here? Is Angel Reese and the way she wants to play, and I don't know if you've ever noticed her social media post, but she's very me, always. I, me. Well, you may have a player that has decided that she's had enough of that.
Angel Reese loves to talk about how people tune in for her, but reality just handed her a brutal wake-up call. The numbers don't lie, folks.
The numbers don't lie. The biggest draw in the WNBA isn't Angel Reese, it's Caitlin Clark. Let's look at the facts.
Throughout the year, WNBA players were demanding to be given credit for elevating the league. Angel Reese claimed that she was along with their pretend friends in the mainstream media. They wanted us to believe that the WNBA was exploding in popularity. They wanted to keep all the credit for themselves while downplaying the impact of the only star in the league, Caitlin Clark.
Picture this. Game night in Chicago. Angel Reese and the Sky are on the court, but the seats? They're emptier than a high school study hall during summer break. The TV ratings? Let's just say you'd have better luck finding a blockbuster hit on public access television.
When Clark and the Fever come to town, suddenly, it's standing room only. The contrast? Embarrassing. But Reese's defenders might argue
Angel is a double-double machine. She's a rebounding force. Sure, she's collecting boards, but
that she's still bringing in fans. The reality? Not so much. The Sky's attendance numbers tell the story, and it's not a good one. There's little demand for Reese or for Chicago basketball.
Well, now, jealous WNBA players will have the opportunity to earn that credit. Now, players like Angel Reese, they will be given the chance to test their star power.
And then there's Unrivaled, the much-hyped 3-on-3 league where Reese was supposed to shine. The viewership numbers are in, and let's just say they're barely making a dent. Fewer than 100,000 people tuned in for her games. That's right, 6 figures weren't even needed to count them. The league that was supposed to be groundbreaking is looking more like a forgettable side project.
Yes, it is unrivaled. It is also unwatched. Look, let's be honest, we can sugarcoat it all you want, but if you don't have Caitlin Clark playing women's basketball, or if you're not the NCAA tournament playing women's basketball, you got nothing. Zero zip.
So, what does all of this mean for Angel Reese and the Chicago Sky? Pressure, lots of it. With no big-name free agents coming to help, Reese is going to have to back up all that talk. Can she actually become the face of the league like she claims, or is she about to be left holding an empty arena?
Meanwhile, Reese might be flipping through TV channels, wondering where her audience went.
Angel Reese may be playing in the league, but who wants to see a goofy 6'6" woman miss layups? Not I.
The hard truth? Reese's star power isn't translating to packed arenas. It's like trying to light up a stadium with a flashlight.
Not happening. Even WNBA analyst Annie Costabile called it straight, saying, Angel Reese and Camila Cardoso.
The Sky have desperately needed relevance, and Reese was supposed to bring it. But so far, she hasn't been the game changer Chicago needed. If anything, their struggles have only deepened.